Okay, so we've got another example, two functions of time. So we've got body moves in a straight line such that its velocity is given by v equals 2t squared, subtract 16t plus 24 for t is equal to or greater than 0. We're going to find the initial velocity, and we're going to find the values of t when the body is instantaneously at rest, value of t when the velocity is 64 meters per second, and the greatest speed of the body in the interval 0 is 5 seconds. So part A, the initial velocity, all that means is the finding the velocity when t equals 0. So if we substitute t equals 0 to this equation, we just get v equals 24 meters per second. Simple. Part B, the values of t when the body is instantaneously at rest. So instantaneously at rest just means v equals 0. So it's instantaneously at rest because it's not like it's stopped for a long period of time. It's literally stopped for an instant. So instantaneously. So v equals 0, so which is going to mean that this thing is equal to 0. So 2t squared subtract 16t plus 24 equals 0, which is obviously a quadratic equation. So t squared take 8t plus 12 equals 0. If I halve all the terms, I actually factorise that. So t take 6, t take 2 equals 0. So therefore the times are t equals 6 seconds or t equals 2 seconds. Part C, the value of t when the velocity is 64 meters per second. So same kind of idea, v is 64, so it's this function here equals 64. So 2t squared subtract 16t plus 24 equals this time 64. So therefore it's 2t squared take 16t subtract 40 equals 0, and again we could halve it. So t squared take 8t take 20 equals 0, and we can factorise it again. T take 10, t plus 2 would be the factors. Therefore t equals 10 or minus 2, but t is equal to or greater than 0, so t equals 10 seconds would therefore be the answer. Okay, part D, we're going to sketch a graph for this because it says the speed, so obviously v is the velocity, so it's no good finding the maximum value of the velocity because that would be a positive, whereas it may actually come when it's a negative because the speed would be positive. So we're going to sketch it. So we've got a quadratic curve. We've got a few things already. We know that when t is 0, it's 24. The intercepts would be 2 and 6, but we are actually only going up to 5 seconds. So the graph's going to be something like this. And we would end up going through here as well, but that's not really part of what we're interested in. We're only interested in this bit of the graph. This point here is going to be the vertex of the graph. And that's going to be important because we know that the maximum positive velocity is 24. What about the negative? So various ways you can find the vertex. Your calculator will tell you, in fact. One thing we do know, the roots are 2 and 6. So the x coordinate or t coordinate must be 4 there. So we could substitute 4 into the original equation to find what the velocity is at that point. That's minus 8. So at that point the speed is 8. The velocity is minus 8, the speed itself is 8. So the maximum speed is going to be actually at the start here, which is when t is 0. So the greatest speed is actually right at the start. So greatest speed is 24 meters per second squared. And the cat wants to get involved. So meters per second, not squared.